everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with another Scrapping for Less design team project. And the stamp set that we're going to be using is by Brutus Monroe, and it is absolutely gorgeous. From the focal point of the floral images to the sentiments. This stamp set is actually called Conservatory of Quotes. So some of the statements, I mean, just to read a couple: if you can dream it, you can do it. Of course, that's by Walt Disney, which is one of my favorite. And it is important to remember that we all have magic inside of us. And that is by J.K. Rowling. So that's one of my favorites as well. We need to know that it is possible for us to do anything. We just have to try. If we don't try, we'll never know. Right? Right. Okay, so enough of that. You guys know I could go for hours in on that stuff to give encouragement. So I have a piece of watercolor paper. This is Canson XL watercolor paper that I'm using. And I just grabbed one of my dies to create a rectangle shape. And I drew that, I traced it in pencil. I then grabbed one of my boards that I use when I watercolor, because we are going to do a form of watercolor, my watercolor. That's what I like to do with watercolor. And I'm going to use my painter's tape. Now I have painter's tape that's like 1.5 inches wide. I do like the wider painter's tape. I have tried, just an FYI, I have tried painter's tape from the dollar store. Yeah, it does not work for me. So just a FYI. So I do get mine from my local hardware store. But I do like the wider. I can cut it down if I want. I can do all kinds of different things. I could use this as a template on my cards, which is what I'm doing here. So I want to be able to cover that whole panel, because this is the only area that I want color to be. I pulled out my little tiny craft mat. So this is the craft mat that actually comes. These are the colors that I'm using here because I don't have them written down. And yes, I'm using my distress inks. Now back to the little craft mat. This is the craft mat that actually comes with the Tim Holtz glass mat. Love it. I will figure out a way to get it up onto my video without nasty glares. Oh, I'll figure it out. Oh yeah. So I'm using ripe persimmon, back to the card. I'm using ground espresso. I'm using fossilized amber. I believe I am using aged mahogany, and the purple just went out. I think it's seedless preserves. So those are the colors that I'm using. Now I saw this a while ago. I believe Christina Werner did it with a fall card. And she just laid, you wet your area. So you're going to do a wet on wet technique. You're going to put water down into your area and you're just going to drop the colors in. No rhyme or reason. That is seedless. Yes, that is seedless preserves. That we're just going to drop those colors in. We're going to let them mold. We're going to let them mix together. We're going to let them do what they want to do. And I'm all for it. Again, I love what we do. I love what we can create. But there's a shortcut for everything, and I like those as well. Yes. So I guess maybe, Lindsay, the frugal crafter, I could be the lazy crafter. You never know. I will say that. I do find the shortcuts to get through things. And this is definitely one of them. So I'm taking my paper towel and I'm just drying. I'm pulling out. I'm just lightly touching that so it draws into the paper towel so that it doesn't puddle there. I want this to be a solid piece. Now this looks like a hot mess because of the colors. It's when you go in with the second coat. That's when she pulled me in on that. I'll try to find the video that she did where I saw this, because I'm also using close to the colors. They were just very inspiring for me for autumn. They were not the typical autumn colors. And I knew when I saw this stamp set, it's kind of where I wanted to go with it. So if I can find the video, I will make sure I link it down below. I don't know if I'm going to, so please go through her. I think it was last year fall in 2017. It was a girl holding a coffee mug. She made a credit or a gift card holder out of it. I see it. I just don't know if I'll be able to find that video. We'll give it a shot. But you can see the same thing. I just wet it. I laid down my colors. I let them blend. And I'm drying in between. I wanted the first layer that I put down to be completely dry. When I came in with that second layer, again, I want that to be completely dry. Because again, these are distress inks. So they are awesomely reactive with water, even with the droplets that I'm putting down there. Okay, they're going to react. They're going to create water spots. And that's exactly what I'm looking at. So I've got a water spot going on here with the splatters. I've got the colors with the splatters. I splattered water on it so that it would just create a water effect. That's what's great with these inks. They can also be used as watercolors. Absolutely. So if you're on a budget, but you like watercoloring, but you also want inks, you want this, your distress inks are the way to go. They can be used as watercolors. No, you can't stamp with them, but you can blend with them. You can create backgrounds with them. You can watercolor with them. You can watercolor images. You can watercolor backgrounds with them. There is a lot that you can do with these and get a lot for your buck. You can see I am extremely slowly peeling back the painter's tape. I like to actually pull it back on itself so it doesn't pull my watercolor paper. And that's our panel. Now you can see I did get a little bit of drips because it did seep underneath the painter's tape. You know, I have to admit, at this point, it was bothering me. I'm like, you know what? I really like that panel. I don't like the way those are dripping down. But I needed to continue on. I was not going to start over because I knew this was a very large stamp. I already had it positioned in my stamp positioning tool. So I'm using my VersaFine Black Onyx ink. And I already have the sentiment, and the one that I did choose is, it is important to remember that we all have magic inside of us. And yes, I had to read that again, because we need to know that. It doesn't matter how it is or what we do have that. We have the ability to make somebody smile. We also have the ability, unfortunately, to make somebody cry. But it all depends on how we overcome that. So I just love that quote. By using the VersaFine Black ink, I'm using my clear embossing powder right over that. So this is actually straddling over that watercolor panel. Now you want to remember too that if you were just using the VersaFine Black ink, that's fine. You would not have to treat your panel with the anti-static powder. I did, and you could see how much I put on because I did not want the clear powder anywhere else. I wanted it just on that image, and I am absolutely in love with it. It's a different type of fall, very inspired from many people, but mainly the Christina Werner video with the colors. That drip was bothering me. Now the one on the other side is kind of hidden by the leaf, but there's this second drip that came down. So I used a craft pick and I used my sand eraser. I was able to get the second one away. But I have to admit, after I removed the second one, which I will further cover up, I mean, you can't see it, but I know it's there, and I know it was there. I really like the drip. I wish I kept it. I wish I didn't hide it. So I stopped right there, and I kept that one right where it is on the right-hand side. For some reason, I got really drawn to it. That probably is because I do like the goth. I do like texture. I do like splatters and splats and all of that grunge. So that's probably what did actually finally kick in and pull me in, because this is fall. These are fall colors, different, but there is a grunge feel to it. I can see it. So left that alone. I adhered this onto my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding panel, card base, and my panel is cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I wanted that to be the star, even though my card base I chose is a brown, but I figured it would just match. I pulled out my black Nouveau drops and I'm covering the one that I took away. And then I'm just going to embellish off of it. But by putting that drop there, I am adding a focus to point out that, hey, you know what? Yep, that was a mistake, but it's working. So again, we make mistakes. You know, that's what makes us human. I mean, we truly do. We make boo-boos, we make smudges, because we enjoy what we do. Never give up on the card. Keep going with it. It's still going to be beautiful. You made it. I hope you did enjoy the video. Here are the close-ups of the card that we made today for Scrapping for Less and their design team project. Again, this stamp set is Brutus Monroe. And of course, the link to the stamp set will be down below in the video description. And that will take you to their shop. And by all means, make sure you shop around. You never know what you're going to find. There is some awesome products that are going on in there. And it's less for retail. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below as well, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. You don't want to miss any more designs that are coming out. I hope everyone's having a great day and a great weekend. Hopefully you've got some sun going on there, but always remember what's most important. Always be creative.